Blessings, welcome in. Hope everyone is doing well. I am Mel. Following a thread per usual. I was kind of just observing and going through various things that were coming up in my feeds on social media. And I see a lot of stuff that has to do with mental health. And I am all for and supportive of mental health awareness and taking better care of our mental health. Something I'm observing is that many humans easily identify, and part of that is, people are trying to figure out their identities, right? But we give too much power away to a system that likes to diagnose us because we exhibit various aspects and personalities that could fall in that spectrum of what the DSM claims and diagnoses as a disorder. I'm having a difficult time with that because I'm seeing so many people attach to the diagnoses. When any of us that are in a spiritual awakening, a spiritual journey, an ascension process, whatever you want to call it, most of us have or have had mental health issues. Or we've struggled with it, or we've struggled with addictions and things like that our whole lives. Just because in our Western world, we are not taught how to cope with sensitivity, to cope with, or to have the skills to process our emotions and our mental chatter. And a lot of times that leads to mental health issues. I, as someone who has struggled with mental health my whole life, I've been diagnosed up and down and was on medication almost my whole life. And it's like, okay, you're diagnosed as depressive, as having anxiety. Then it extends the further and deeper, and sometimes that's our awakening. The more we go into that, as bipolar, ADHD, what's bothering me and what's prompting me to speak on this is that people are so attached to the identity that someone else gave them. And then they almost wear it as a badge. And it's like, if I'm stating I am X, Y, and Z, that is who I am. I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it as myself. And what I'm trying to state is we don't need to keep doing that. We don't need to keep claiming because it's almost like a crutch. It's almost it's a detriment to us. Just because I hold these personalities, these aspects, does not mean that's my overall makeup and personality. They're just characteristics that are playing out that is part of our multidimensionality. And the more that we are awakening, we are working through those aspects and parts, reclaiming them, healing them, reviving them, loving them, and bringing them back into unification and working as a cohesive whole. It's like seeing these aspects and parts as they're friends, foes, whatever, seeing them as other gives us the ability to really focus on and look at these aspects and see if they are harming us, they're keeping us in cycles, are they actually beneficial for us, why we do what we do, etc., etc., etc. The part is being able to identify but not attach to the various forms and aspects in which we hold within our personality. I will use myself as an example. I have a aspect that is very cutting. That is, and many of you have seen that. Very cutting, very direct, very straightforward, and can be really harsh. And I'm learning to tame and soften that aspect. But then I have other aspects that I actually don't allow to speak or really stand in prominence in my demeanor. When I came into my spiritual awakening, the process that I had to go through, which was very beneficial to me, was that I completely cold turkey stopped my meds, and I had no choice. And I had to go through a cycle of chaos and distortion and all this shit, but I worked through it. I haven't been on medication for diagnoses by our Western medical since 2015, because I was allowing Spirit to show me how to work through the process, how to alchemize the energies, how to recognize and see my cycles and seasons, how to identify yet not attach to particular traits. And if we can look at it from a genetic, some of us are predisposed to those genetic imprints. And a lot of us are going through that right now and trying to clearing that completely from our trees. If it helps people to be able to identify and state, okay, I'm ADHD. Okay, I'm bipolar. I personally, I don't feel it's healthy for us to do that. There's ways beyond to work with these energies, but not attached to them. Allow them to come in, to flow through. You have your moment. I have my moments of fucking breakdown. I have my moments of anger and rage, you know? I have my moments of just crying hysterically because it is what it is, you know? But it's like I'm not attaching to it and saying, okay, this is my identity. It's not who I am. It's just an aspect. It's a part that I'm learning to retrieve and recover and heal. You know, soul fragmentation is a real thing based off of the traumas that we've experienced in our lives. Again, I wish that people would not use medical diagnoses as a crutch, because you're victimizing yourself because someone else told you that you are X, Y, and Z. But what do you believe? Do you truly believe that? And if you do, that's okay. I don't feel the diagnoses, the medication is a long-term fix. It's learning to see yourself. Yeah. Learning to see yourself from a different lens, from a different perspective, and really being compassionate and gentle with yourself and saying, it's not who I am. It's not really who I am. In my everyday, all the time moments. It's a glimmer, it's a glimpse, it's a little portion of myself that, you know, just needs more tender, loving care, that needs to be seen, that needs to be appreciated, to know that it's supported. Again, it's like we speak of teams as in like angelics and the masters and this, that, and the third, and there's our teams. But you don't recognize your internal team, which are all aspects of you. And they all work together. And sometimes they come to the table and they argue like a family. They argue, they don't get along. This one wants to overpower this one. This one's, shying in the corner and doesn't want to speak up. And it's being able to see all these little parts of yourself. It's funny because I'm sitting around, it's a round table. So I'm having a round table discussion with myself. And I could recognize and identify each one of my parts. My inner child sits at that table. My wounded child sits at that table. My future self sits at that table. My angelic self, my galactic self, and my creative self, the poet, the priestess, like all these archetypes, I can see they're aspects of me. And once you can start identifying them, but not attach, and then you learn to all sit at the same table and start to work together and not against each other. And you'll see tensions, you'll see oppositions. This one doesn't want to get along today. This one's having a fit because they didn't get their fucking ice cream. You know what I mean? I'm being silly, but whatever it is. It's not to discount people that are in belief of higher dimensional beings as part of their teams, because they are, but recognizing those higher dimensional beings are you, okay? You have to come back down to the micro again and look at all your individualized parts as the human. The wounded parts, the trauma parts, the shadow parts, the light parts, whatever it is, and see them all as peoples within your family, within your tree, and learn to work with them. And then you can start expanding outward and work with other people's tree systems and get along better, to have more compassion, to have more understanding, to have reciprocal exchanges of energy. But if you can't do that with yourself, it's just not going to work. You trying to get along with other people. And that goes for other elements of nature, birds, animals, trees, flowers, I want to say living species, but there are some things that you're still connecting with that aren't even actually living, objects, things like that. Everything holds a consciousness. And anyway, so I just went on a tangent, but I just wanted to throw that out there and follow that thread a little bit. I can't really give you advice. I'm not here to give you advice. I just follow threads and, again, allow the energy to speak. You can take what resonates for you or it doesn't, and see how it works with your internal system and what your teams, your peoples, your family are trying to show you to work with within your now moment. In order to evolve your expression as the angelic human. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope this is helpful. If you like this content, please like, share, subscribe. And yeah, it's okay to identify things. But when you start to attach to the identity, because it is a living being, it will step forward and be your prominent expression. So that's just something we should be mindful of when working with particular energies, especially when it comes to mental health and diagnoses. So Or even working with archetypes, because some people, we can step into those archetypes and it can go either into the higher polarity or the lower polarity, the shadow. And it's a constant dance. It's a two-step, you know? I'm going to go here, and then sometimes I step here. You know? It's a dance. And it's a beautiful dance. It's a divine dance. There's really nothing wrong with it. And we need to stop judging ourselves when we do the dance. We live in a dualistic reality. And we're learning to harmonize and get everybody on board to get along and work together. So I send you all off with much love and many blessings on your journeys forward. Take care. Bye.